Honestly Sis podcast. Well, not the Honestly Sis podcast. Not the Honestly Sis podcast, but this is Honestly Sis Live. How are you guys today? I hope that you are doing well. I'm over here in Detroit on this Thursday, actually. Um, and I'm gonna actually go ahead and get into it. Full disclosure, I am redoing the video from earlier this week. I'm redoing my top chef, I mean, top chef, my next level chef video because it did not have the PowerPoint presentation playing. And I've been noticing that since we don't have that, it looks as though, we're losing some of our audience. So we don't want any of that to happen. So I'm just actually going to go ahead and get right into it. I have my thing going and I'm going to jump into this presentation. I'm going to jump right on into the presentation. So we are here to discuss Next Level Chef Season 4, Episode 5, Grills Gone Wild. Um, not seeing it, so I know what I need to do next. So we're gonna, all right, make sure y'all can see. All right. And please, guys, if you really love this, please make sure that you like, comment, or subscribe to the channel. That is the best way to support it. If you like these videos, liking it will not only help me know that you are enjoying the content that I am creating for you guys, but it also help other people find the channel. So please, please, please like, comment, or subscribe. As you see, I am a newer channel and I want to grow. And this is a part of that growth process. So let's get into it. Y'all know who I am. Honest Am. I am the creator of Dear Showrunners, Honestly Sis, and Honestly Sis the podcast, which I promise y'all I'm going to get back to it. Um, and we're talking about Next Level Chef. So these are our mentors: Nyesha Arrington. We have Gordon Ramsay, and then of course Richard Blais. The grab. So this episode of season 4, episode 5, Grills Gone Wild. This is what this episode is all about. We started the episode off with, of course, Nyesha Arrington. Her team is in the top kitchen, Blaze is in the middle kitchen, and Gordon is at the bottom. When they first get into the kitchen, Iman is already talking about how sexy the equipments are. When they were in the middle kitchen, they talked about these Japanese grills that Becca really wasn't familiar with on the top kitchen. I love how Becca took a moment to just stop and just ask Nyesha, like, hey, I've only seen this on TikTok. How do you work it? But we still see that, that grill actually came back to hunt her in the end, but we'll get there. When it comes to the grab, a couple of things that Richard says to his team is that this is a technique challenge, is not a genre challenge. So it's not about how well, how great of a dish you can put together. It's really about how well you can grill that meat. And then Gordon kept saying that, like, just simplify things. You don't need to make it fancy. We're a grill. All we need is fire. When they first started getting there, Ryan said that they're going to be doing some ghetto grilling. And I was just like, Ryan, maybe not ghetto grilling. I think that's more like hillbilly grilling. Um, but when we get into the grab, right away, it seems as though everybody is grabbing some really good proteins. Iman grabbed this swordfish. Kathy grabbed the steak that she felt pretty comfortable with. And Becca just zeroed in on these chicken thighs, which, if you really think about chicken thighs, they're not really a super elevated meal. And it's probably something that should have went to the middle or the bottom level kitchen. But she wanted those chicken thighs because she said she worked with them. Then we go to the middle kitchen, and again, everybody is grabbing what they need. I want to say Brandon was really, really excited about grabbing. What did Brandon grab? I said Brandon got a villain laugh. Brandon, what did he end up grabbing? I'm sorry, y'all. Give me 2 seconds. Oh yeah, Brandon ended up grabbing these pork loins, and then he saw some peaches. So he was already contextualizing his dish before he even got back there. Jeff, he initially picked up some scallions, but then he saw pork belly, and because he's familiar with pork belly, he put the scallions down. But we already know that the scallions is something that should have gone in the first or second round, and eventually it ended up going down to the bottom level. And when we get to the bottom level, we have we have literally Meg is talking about this tilapia and how she's familiar with it, and before she can even grab it, Ryan just like scoops it out of scoops it out from under her, which I was like, Ryan is like a shark, and I wish that Brandon also had that mentality, because Brandon is just a little too like, we're a team. Like before he even started cooking, he fist pumped with Austin, and I'm just like, Brandon, fucking focus on your food. But then Arnav ended up grabbing those beautiful scallions, and he those beautiful scallops. He grabbed those beautiful scallops, and he ended up talking about how those other two teams do not deserve to be in the top kitchen because they let an amazing protein like that go down to the bottom. Beatrice was so excited to get these lamb hearts, even though she's never actually dealt with it before. And then Meg ended up getting stuck with these alligator bites, which is a bottom level a bottom level protein. But she actually ended up working it out in the end. Next up, let's talk about these beautiful dishes that came out of the top level. Right here, you can kind of see the picture of everything. We have that beautiful ribeye that Natalie made, as well as Kathy New York strip, I want to say that is. They talked about how much they love Bobby's potato fontaine, I believe. And I was like so excited about Iman and her skewers. And she actually made a pomegranate cornbread, because one thing that I noticed that when we got to the mid round drop, which ended up being all about cornbread, which I personally thought that was strange, because I don't. When I think of barbecue, I don't think of cornbread. Like maybe a Texas toast, maybe a roll, but cornbread, it was just so random. And I really loved how Iman was able to not only pivot but come up with this like really creative little dish. One thing that I noticed that when we were going to the mid round drops, by the time we got to the mid round drops, Kathy and Becca did not even have their proteins cooked. Meanwhile, in the bottom level, Austin and Brandon, they're all like, grilling the steak, got the stuff going up, and Megan is turning over her game hen. Like everybody is working on their proteins, and Becca and Kathy didn't even start. So I knew right away that was going to be a problem. But the top dishes that came out of Team Arrington Kitchen was, of course, Natalie beautiful ribeye steak. She made it with some homemade salsa. She talked about how in her family she makes salsa literally every day, and how it goes with all of these different meals. And she even joked about how they would put salsa in their milk if they could. I just thought that was a cute little thing. Um, I'm always looking out for Natalie. But you know what? Now that I'm actually looking at this dish, one thing that Richard said was that this was not just a next level barbecue meal, but it was more so a restaurant that specializes in barbecue because of the technique and how good it was. But when I'm looking at this plate, it feels like something is missing, like I don't, what is this, like put just some cucumbers and some relish. I don't know, it feels like it should be like a potato, or I don't know, something else to go with it does kind of seem like a one note dish as Richard said last season, but it still looked pretty good. Next up, we had Iman with this swordfish skewers over here. Gordon Ramsay talked about how unforgiving swordfish could be, and she actually grilled it to perfection. So we are starting to see how Iman Michelin star qualities and her background is going to help her in the competition. And then of course Bobby's skirt steak. The bottom two in this level was of course Kathy, her beautiful steak. It looks really good. But if you could, let me go back. I'm sorry. Her beautiful steak. It looks really good, but she had raw cabbage on top, because I have no idea. I watched this episode twice. I would have to watch it a third time, but I don't understand how Kathy ran out of time. I think the cornbread really threw her off. And then instead of focusing on her vegetables on her side, she ended up focusing on the cornbread, and even the cornbread ended up coming out very dense. One thing that Richard, I'll get there what he said. Let's go to the middle kitchen. So for the middle kitchen, we have Team Blaze. As we see, these are some beautiful dishes. They all kind of have like a similar color tone and a color palette to it. The top dishes that came out of this kitchen is, of course, Megan Game Hen. It was something about this dish that I personally wish that I could try this chicken. It just looked very well done. She spatchcocked the chicken so it could get a nice even cook on both sides. She put some beautiful pomegranate on there to get color. I personally felt like Megan won the top dish, and I felt like she was a little robbed. But next up, out of the middle kitchen, we have Miriam with this spice bison. That was always going to be her meal. She was originally going to do it with just a naan bread, and then with the mid round drop challenge, she pivoted and made that naan bread into like a cornbread naan bread. And I just thought that that was so genius. And it was also something that Gordon said the same thing. Like I said it when she originally did it, and then Gordon said it as he was eating a dish. And I keep telling you guys, y'all need to watch out for my girl Miriam because she is going to take it. She's going to be a sneaker. She's smart. She thinks on her she's smart. She thinks on her feet, and she cooks really amazing meals. Next up, we have Brandon with his pork tenderloin. He put that with some peaches, and then I think he made this beautiful little corn muffin to go with it. Another dish that also came out of this kitchen was Austin. He made pork ribs with a potato salad. I personally thought the potato salad looked very disgusting, but they said that it tastes good. I just, like I love Austin for his energy and for his passion, but for me, Austin dishes just do not look appealing to me. So I am like starting to get very weary on Austin and thinking that he's going to make it to top five. Like maybe his drive and his passion will get him there, but his meals are not hitting it for me. And then, of course, in the bottom of this dish was Bobby. He just really overdid it on his pork belly. Like I don't know why he kept cooking it so much. And by the time he got to the mid round drop, he was trying to cook asparagus, and then he had his pork belly, and then he's trying to do his cornbread. Like he was all over the place, and you could just tell, like, ooh, this boy, this is not going to end well. And I think moving forward, we have to start paying attention to those mid round drops because that when we get to that midpoint, that is going to show us who's going to come out of this competition on top. And we see that all of the people who were struggling by the mid round drop, those are the ones who end up being in the bottom. Next but not least, we have the bottom level. The last but not least, we have the bottom level. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to get a really good picture of all of the bottom level dishes. But this is a picture of Arnav, beautiful scallions. He did a grilled leaf. One thing that Nyesha spoke about was just the technique on the grilling that Arnav did, and she was really impressed. One thing that I will say, the bottom level, like their energy, even though they were at the in the bottom kitchen, their energy was undeniable. They were still cohesive. Everybody was focused, minus Ryan having his little shark mentality about the protein, which I actually like because Ryan, it feels like to me that Ryan understands that yes, while we may be in teams, this is still an individual competition, and I am coming to take everybody heads off, and I just appreciate that about him. But one thing I just noticed is that the energy, I just feel like once they left, like they lost Misty, their team just really started to work together really, really well. Even Beatrice and Gordon, like smooth races, like they were just having fun, and Beatrice was just so excited about these lamb hearts that even I started getting excited about it. And when you see a chef that can, have a really tough protein, and instead of them being intimidated or making an excuse, but you see their excitement and them just really being creative and intuitive, it just makes me excited to see this chef journey. And I will have to, I'm going to have to walk it back because before I told you guys, I didn't feel strong about Beatrice, but the way that she handled this challenge, being in a level kitchen, having one of the toughest proteins, doing it with pizzazz and energy, it just really made me respect her so much more. And I just realized like maybe she's not a young gun. Maybe she really knows what the fuck she's doing. And she is definitely going to be one to watch in this competition. Next up, of course, we have our non-grilled scallops that did well. They're actually pictured right here. And last but not least, Ryan had a tilapia dish that was actually really pretty. He put it right on top of some grits, which you can never go wrong with fish and grits. Like that's actually my favorite breakfast of all times. So, judges debate. I am so excited. Do you guys see this beautiful picture of the platform? You can see right here all of our dishes. The top level is, of course, on the top. You can see all of the beautiful middle level dishes. And then at the bottom, you see the beautiful bottom level dishes. Plating wise, who has the best plating? I still think the game hen got it. I just feel like justice for Megan. Like, she should have fucking won. I know I'm jumping ahead. All right. So judges debate. First thing they talked about was Jeff pork belly and how it was rubbery and it was overcooked and he just did not deliver well. Next up, they talked about Kathy steak after Richard Richard, he hold her twice. Like the first time after after they ate the dish, and he said, I mean, this is just a really basic dish. And I used to like, yes, yes, it needed more. And then when they were in the judges debate, he was just like, I mean, it's just such a basic meal. He's like, this is not next level basic meal. Like he just kept hoeing Kathy. And so we already know that from this debate, Jeff and Kathy are in heavy trouble. Next up, of course, they also talked about Becca. Actually, they didn't even talk about Becca that much in her chicken thighs. And I'm going to get there, but I just felt like Kathy was a little robbed. For top dishes, we got down to Megan with her game hen, Beatrice and her lamb hearts. Aisha tried to get Aisha tried to get Natalie's steak dish in there, ribeye in there because she cooked it so well. I mean, look at the beautiful lines on that steak. But Richard said, "No disrespect. I'm sorry. This is a this is a two dish race." And Aisha said, "Wow, are y'all in a alliance against me?" Like it was just a really good team. It was a really good battle and a really good debate. And Gordon was like, "Oh my God, is this gonna be it all season?" And honestly, guys, once we get Becca, Jeff, and well, not Kathy is gone. I'm sorry, oops. Spoiler alert, Kathy is gone. But once we get Jeff and Kathy up out this competition, it's gonna be a tight race. Kathy, Jeff, and Becca out. It is going to be a tight race. Like I just really feel like this may be you know, the best contestants we've seen in a very very long time. Like it's like literally on every single level I have somebody that I feel passionate about and who I think could win it all, but I guess we're just going to have to see as these competition goes about. So of course in our judges debate it ended up coming down to Megan and Beatrice, and the winner ended up being Beatrice, my girl Beatrice won. I didn't have the best picture here, but you see her beautiful lamb hearts that she put on a skewer with like maybe it looks like this is like kind of a potato salad with sweet beans it looked like, but she did make some hush puppies to go with it, and Aisha said that they were textbook hush puppies. And so since team Gordon ended up winning, they went from the bottom to the top kitchen. And actually I ended up saying that I'm sorry, I actually ended up saying that I actually have a prediction that I think the top level kitchen is cursed. If this week, if the people from the top level go to elimination again, I'm gonna say the top level is cursed, because I have you noticed that the last couple of seasons, the last couple of episodes, the ones who are in the top level kitchen end up going to the bottom, and then the ones on the bottom and going to the top. Like we're gonna have to pay attention to that. If somebody from Team Gordon end up in the bottom again next week, like I'm gonna say that the top level is cursed. And then of course going into our elimination, that means that it's gonna be down between Becca, Kathy, and Bobby. And meanwhile, remember Bobby from our first episode, our second episode, what was that, episode 3 maybe? Bobby got the immunity pin. And so Bobby ends up getting called down to the carpet. And being the smart man that he is, he turned in his immunity pin. He said that he didn't want to use it this early. but that's what it is for. And so instead of Bobby going in, Brandon went in his place. I genuinely don't believe Brandon deserved to go into there, but I believe that Richard put him in there because he noticed that Brandon had this passion and just this enthusiasm from grilling. Like he even said, "Don't tell my mama." I'm like, Brandon, you're 36 years old. Why are you worried about your mama? Think, it's so funny that he's 36, but he actually reads very young. Like technically he's my age, but he feels and he reads very young to me. All right. So going into this elimination challenge, it is going to be between Kathy versus Brandon. I did not believe that Kathy deserved to be in a bottom. Like, yes, she had a basic dish. And I think that's really what got her. Like, beside her making a steak, there was nothing else exciting about the dish. Whereas Becca at least tried to put these beautiful flavors together that Nyesha was really excited about. And although she wasn't able to execute it all the way out, at least there was some type of ingenuity there. Whereas Kathy was just making a basic meal. And honestly, I think what it came down to is that Kathy is a mom. Kathy may love cooking, but at the end of the day, she's just a mom. And I don't think that she was going to be a next level chef, but I do believe that this competition pushed her in a way that she probably needed to be pushed, and probably in a way that she haven't been outside of her comfort zone in a very long time. And I just found myself getting so emotional during this elimination challenge. I loved how focused Kathy was and how she said, Kathy the bad bitch is coming out. And I'm like, Kathy, where was Kathy the bad bitch the whole competition? Like, we needed that energy. And she didn't care that Brandon was going to be there and how good he was going to be. And we even got a little snippet from Natalie, like showing how much she liked Kathy and she appreciated her teammate. And she talked about how, she doesn't really appreciate Brandon cocky attitude and how you can be confident one day and you can leave or lose the next day. And I personally don't feel like Brandon is cocky. I feel like Brandon is confident. And I also believe you have to be, as a black man, don't make me get on my soapbox. But as a black person in general, like you have to have confidence in everything you do. Like, because people are always going to doubt you. People are always going to second guess you. People are always going to be like, oh, did you get here because of affirmative action? So you have to walk in the building confident. And so to me, Brandon does not come off cocky at all. He comes out very confident and kind of corny, but I appreciate that about him. Anyway, so we end up having this cauliflower battle, and right away Brandon says, "I hope that I did some sexy things to cauliflower." And I just want to know, Brandon, what sexy things you did to cauliflower? Drop it in the chat. Tell us what sexy things you have done to cauliflower so that we can all be aware that sexy things can go to cauliflower. But if you look at these dishes on a screen right now, like just look how visually beautiful they are. During the cook, Kathy just seemed so focused. She knew exactly what meal she wanted to make. Even though her cauliflower steak fell apart, she panicked a little bit. Gordon told her, "You have more than enough time. Drop another one." She dropped two, end up cooking this beautiful meal where she made a cauliflower with a cauliflower, putting a curry on top, putting some beautiful little pomegranate seeds on top, so you can get that taste of tangy and sweetness to cut through that heat of the curry. And it's just, at the end of the day, it ended up being a beautiful dish, one that I personally want to try to recreate. Like, I think that I actually saw another cauliflower dish. It was like cauliflower sitting on top of some hummus, and homemade hummus. And I just thought, you know what, that's a really good way to do it. And so Kathy, her confidence in this cook, I love how she was doing it. She put together a beautiful dish. She could not have, gone out any other way, on any of a better way. Like, she definitely held her own here. But unfortunately, she was going up against a pro chef, one who does sexy things to cauliflower. And Brandon ended up making this beautiful dish. I mean, it looks very beautiful. At first, I wasn't feeling it, but now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, it is a fucking beautiful dish. And he ended up making this dish where he used cauliflower multiple ways. He had this beautiful cauliflower puree, which is what the other, the other cauliflower is sitting on top of. I think he grilled some cauliflower. He also used the cauliflower and broccoli hybrid. I forgot the name of it. Put some beautiful little seeds on it. And Richard talked about how it was just an amazing dish. It was a nice winter wonderland. And personally, I would love to eat this dish. One thing that Richard also said is that a Kathy dish is something that would make, people want to uh, eat vegetables more. And I have had, there's this restaurant in Detroit where they had was it? It was like grilled. It was like grilled cauliflower steak, and it was so good. Like, so there is something to this dish. Like, I would definitely recreate Kathy dish, but unfortunately, in the end, what ended up happening during the lounge conversation, did we have anything crazy come out of the lounge conversation? One thing that I did notice is that everybody seemed to be rooting for Kathy. And maybe that's just because, Brandon is a tough competitor and it probably would have been great to get him out of the competition. But everybody was rooting for Kathy and they were just proud of her. But in the end, Brandon did end up winning, sending Kathy home. And I cried. Like, I just hope Kathy just is proud of herself. I hope she do not stop cooking. And she went out on a high note. I still don't think that she should have went out and Becca was saved. Like, girl, that chicken was not cooked. That chicken was not cooked. So, boo, you were saved, and I got my eye on her ass. Next up, final thoughts. So, life advice. This week, we didn't really get anything too deep, but one thing that we did get is, of course, while we were in the top level kitchen, Natalie was cooking her steak, and Chef Arrington asked her, "Do you believe in yourself?" And this also goes back to that conversation that I was having about Brandon. Like, you have to believe in yourself. There's actually, I told you guys in my life, another part of my personality is I am a tarot reader. I have the ability to channel advice from the other realms. And there are cards that I had that talks about how it doesn't matter how much you work towards something. If you don't believe in it, it's like you're taking one step forward and two steps back. You're not going to get anywhere. Your self-belief is always going to be the thing that take you over the top. And so Natalie was cooking her steak and Chef Arrington asked her, "Do you believe in yourself?" And she said, "Yes." And Natalie, and she said, "I believe in you as well." And I think that's also why Chef Arrington end up picking on I don't she to me she did pick on Kathy. I'm gonna be honest. End up picking on Kathy because she want people to be in her kitchen that's confident. Like, she told Kathy the first day, don't cook scared, don't cook, worried and with lacking confidence. And I think because Kathy just did not have that confidence and that that she ain't had that dog in her, that Nyesha ended up picking on her and pushing her out of the kitchen. Like, even Becca, like, she's about to cry over her chicken thighs, but you could see her like pressing it and putting on the grill, like she was putting some extra energy and effort into it. Whereas it seemed like Kathy was just moving in slow motion. And so sometimes, it may not seem fair, but sometimes it is more so about your belief in yourself and how you carry yourself that is going to push you over the top versus, you trying to scrap together or being grindy. Like, you really have to believe in yourself. And also, I believe, overworking yourself or having that mentality that you have to be twice as good to get twice as much. Like, first of all, that's a scarcity mentality. And also, that's buying into another system. That's buying into the patriarchy system. That's buying into this white supremacy system. So you have to tell yourself, you have to remind yourself that no matter what any fucking body believes, you got it. And the reason why that is so important is because our world is dictated not by the beliefs of other people, but is dictated by our perceptions and what we believe is possible. And so if you don't believe something is possible and you're working hard towards it, it don't matter how fucking hard you work towards it, you're not going to get it. You have to have that confidence. You have to have that belief in yourself to get you across the finish line. Mentor beef. I talked about this. They're still going back and forth with each other. Richard, he should be feeling himself because honestly, I don't see him. He does not have his only weak link, and I'll say it again, his only weak link on his team is Jeff. Other than that, he has a whole team of heavy hitters. And so I really genuinely believe that this is Richard's season to lose. He's either you're gonna win it or you're gonna lose it. Um, but of course, Nyesha accused him and Gordon of being in an alliance. And I'm not gonna take it because they did pick Bobby Dish, but if we see that they keep trying to edge her out, maybe then we'll talk about the Lions. But right now, I just believe that it is a really good competition, and they're just gonna be fighting throughout the whole entire season. Predictions. Do I have any predictions? I mean, I keep saying it. I really I don't know, y'all. Like, it's so hard because I have it's like I just believe in like somebody in every kitchen. Like, I definitely believe Natalie is going all the way to the end. I definitely believe Bobby is going all the way to the end. I definitely believe Miriam and Megan is going all the way to the end. I think Brandon is not going to allow himself to come any less. And then I also believe in Ryan. Like it's such a tough competition. But I do believe that this is going to be Richard Blais season. Like I am honing in on his team, even though I have those, we got our sneakers on our sneakers, our sneakers on the other team. I do believe that this is going to be Richard's season to win. Finally. All right, next episode. So, guys, our next level Tuesday, I'm gonna figure out how to get a schedule or how to put it here on YouTube so that when I am planning to go live, you can get a notification and you can click the bell to be notified. I am gonna do that because starting in April, guys, we're gonna be all guns blazing. I'm gonna be trying to go live at least twice a week, doing that during our How to Survive the End of the World series. We're going to keep going with next level Tuesdays. I'm doing this video on a Thursday, so I do feel like my next live is going to be on a Thursday. But I need your help. Like, what next series should I review? Which one should we do a week by week review on? I'm really leaning towards Survival of the Thickest on Netflix. It actually comes out on my birthday, March 27th. So that's next week. um, I don't that then that mean I'm gonna have to be reviewing two shows at once. I don't know, but I really want to lean into this because I like how it feels. I like seeing that y'all are actually watching it, and yeah, it feels like this is actually me contributing to the algorithm of YouTube. So please, if you made it to the end of this episode and you really fuck with me, or I try not to cuss, but you really mess with me and you like how these videos are going or you like whatever, please let me know what other TV show you're interested in me covering. I also seen somewhere where they were saying the Top Chef this season. The Top Chef is the best season. Tom said this is the best season they ever had. So maybe we'll do Top Chef as well. Let me know. I do have a trip planned, a little day trip planned to Chicago. So I'm gonna maybe do a quick little food blog or short so that you can see what I eat and all of that good stuff in a day. Because one thing that this channel is going to be all about is going to be about life advice, it's going to be about TV shows, and it's going to be about food. All right, y'all. That is all I have for you. Thank you so much for making my dreams come true. Now get up there and work on your own. Until we meet again, dream those dreams. Never let the internet rush you, and never ever let someone tell you what you cannot do. Thank you guys so much for being here. I will be back with you guys next Tuesday for our next level Tuesday. All right. All right, y'all. I love you. Have a great week. Bye bye. I did it.